Hmm? No. I don't know about pouring. Good to go.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. My name is Peggy Ruth, and I have the honor of serving as a celebration assistant this morning. And I am joining our wise and witty senior minister, Reverend Don Lansky. Welcome to everyone in the sanctuary, everyone joining us online. We are so glad that you are with us this morning. And as we like to do every Sunday, let's start with some music. So I will turn it over to Blair Jones, our music director, and the celebration singers.
Okay, we want you all to join in on this song. Living in the house of the soul's belonging, where you know without a doubt that you made it home. Living in the house of the soul's belonging, coming back to the holy ground that you've always known. In the kingdom of love, there is no competition, no contradiction, and no control. But you can take possession and claim your passion, working on a building that cannot be bought or sold. Living in the house of the soul's belonging, where you know without a doubt that you made it home. Living in the house of the soul's belonging, coming back to the holy ground that you've always known. Step into the feeling of sweet surrender. Let yourself remember who you are. You can take your own sweet time and ease your troubled mind in the secret sanctuary of the heart. Living in the house
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Unity of Charlottesville. I'm Reverend Don from minister here, and we welcome you, everybody who's here in person, everybody who's watching online on YouTube, Facebook, website, and Zoom. So welcome everybody this morning. And it's our custom, of course, to begin with prayer. And well, I think we have some prayers for peace this morning, don't you think? The Russian troops are gathered around Ukraine, ready to invade and all of this stuff. It's unbelievable at this 21st century that that's still going on. Let's just take a moment, close our eyes. We affirm here together this morning, let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let it begin with my thoughts, my actions, my behavior, my ability to love and to spread love in this world. We hold this morning in unity that we are one family on this earth, brothers and sisters. And so we, at least what we can do, is send forth love into this world to soften the hearts of political leaders, religious leaders, to soften the hearts of those who would oppose one another without being willing to take a moment to understand each other's perspectives. Let there be peace on earth. And it begins with me. So let me begin this morning with my own peace, being centered in what I know is the sacred space of my heart. That wherever there is anxiety in my own life, or dissension or resentment, let me release it now, so that I may spread love into this world, so that I might be an instrument of peace in this world. We pray this in the name and after the nature of the indwelling Christ, and we claim it so. Amen.
And may we affirm our statement of faith together, please. There is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, God the good, omnipotent.
Time for us to welcome each other. So you stand and just greet your neighbors from a distance with an air hug, with namaste. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here.
I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here.
I'm in the right place
At the right time, I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here.
Please be seated. And we do have some children, so if you want to go with Sindri, she's back there. And have a great time, you guys.
And let's affirm our mission statement. Unity of Charlottesville empowers everyone to express their unique divinity, making a positive difference in the world.
is what I know, that we are all connected, the universe reflected in each shining part. And everywhere I go, I recognize the faces, all of my relations in this one heart. And all I need is already looking through these eyes, nearer than my breathing, closer than hands and feet. We are dreaming together all the gifts of heaven and earth. And so I receive all I can be. This is what I know, that we are all connected, the universe reflected in each shining part. And everywhere I go, I recognize the faces, all of my relations in this one heart. And all I need is already looking through these eyes, nearer than my breathing, closer than hands and feet. We are dreaming together all the gifts of heaven and earth. And so I receive all I can be. Now I let it go with such appreciation, with sheer exhilaration. Now I set it free, and so it is, and so be it. When I sing it, I can see it. I welcome us in, and now we begin. Amen. 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 Sing this now. Amen. Sing it now. Amen. 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 Amen.
Well, this guy is sitting at home when he hears a knock on the door, and he goes up to answer the door, and he sees a snail sitting on the porch. He picks up the snail, and he throws it as far as he can. 3 years later, there's a knock on the door. The man opens it, and he sees the snail, and the snail says, "What the heck was that all about?" Oh man, that is such a weird joke. Do you ever wonder what the heck it's all about? What the heck is it all about? What is the world coming to? We have all of this anger and hatred and dissension and just division, all that's going on in the world. The other night, Patricia and I were watching a movie on Turner Classic Movies, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. How many have seen that movie? How many have seen it 10 times? So for those of you who haven't seen it, the basic plot is that there's this young man named Jefferson Smith, and Jefferson Smith is the leader of a boys' club for his state, and the boys' club is dedicated to instilling wholesome values and kindness, teaching kids kindness, and teaching them about nature. And Mr. Smith is appointed by the governor of the state to become the next U.S. senator. And he's chosen because the boss of the political machine, who owns the state and owns the governor, believes that they can manipulate him. He's so innocent and naive that they'll just vote for whatever they want to. Whatever they want him to vote for. And so for Jefferson Smith, he goes to Washington for his first vote. He learns that this bill that he's to vote on is all about graft and corruption, and so he refuses to vote. And because of that, the political machine sets out to destroy him. And they do that because they control all of the newspapers and all the media in their state, right? So they accuse him of all of these false things. They go on this huge, massive disinformation campaign and fake news. And they control all the newspapers, so they squash any attempts for the senator to tell the truth or to defend himself in any way. And so to defend himself and to also block this corrupt bill from passing, Jefferson Smith stands on the floor of the Senate and filibusters. That's where he has control. As long as he keeps speaking, he has control of the Senate, right? He speaks for 24 hours, something that in real life has only been done once by Senator Strom Thurmond in 1957 to block the Civil Rights Bill. So now the irony of this, and you know how much I love irony, is that at the very moment that Jimmy Stewart is filibustering on the Senate floor, in the movie and in our home, at that very moment, our U.S. Senate in real time was rejecting the voting rights bill and refusing to change the filibuster rules, right at that very moment. Now, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington was made in 1939. And I had to ask myself, what, if anything, has changed, right? United States senators in the year 2022 who have sworn an oath to defend and uphold the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic, refused to vote for a bill that would give all Americans the right to vote. Incredible, or perhaps our most sacred secular privilege, and also to protect free and fair elections for the future. So I'm with the snail. What the heck is this all about? What the heck is happening? There's one scene in the movie where Jimmy Stewart is, he's speaking, and he's speaking about the privilege of freedom and the privilege of liberty. And all of the senators in the Senate have their backs turned to him. They're reading their newspapers. They're completely disinterested. One of the beauties of the director, Frank Capra, who directed the movie, is that we don't know if they're Republicans or Democrats. There's no label, so it doesn't matter, right? So they have their backs to him, and so he whistles at the top of his lungs, a loud, loud whistle. Everybody whips their heads around. He says, "I just wanted to see if you had faces." And so I find myself wondering from time to time, almost on a daily basis, not if some of our politicians have faces, but if they actually have the courage to do the right thing. Don't you wonder that sometimes? So the other day, Christine, our office manager, she had a call from a church that wanted to rent one of our buildings for their Sunday morning services and also Wednesday evening services. And so Christine had the foresight to ask them a question. She said, are you inclusive? What is your stance on LGBTQ community? And what the spokesperson's response was, is that they love the sinner, but they condemn the sin. And that they would do everything in their power to cure the LGBTQ person of their illness, according to the Bible. So needless to say, we won't be renting to that organization, because that's not our mission statement. Our mission statement is that Unity of Charlottesville empowers everyone to express their unique divinity. So what is happening in our world? What is happening in the name of politics and in the name of religion? And it seems to me that what the world needed in 1939, what the world maybe needed in every generation throughout human history, what the world needs now, perhaps what the world has always needed. And what is that? What do you think it is that the world needs now? Could you just yell it out what you think? Love? Anything else? Understanding? Compassion, what was those? Acceptance. Honesty. Being fair. Awakening. Listening. Yeah. Unity. What was something else? Uniqueness. Burt Bacharach wrote the song, What the World Needs Now, in 1965. Do you remember, those of you who are old enough, what was happening in our world in 1965? 1960. I was in the 10th grade at the time. What a year that was, right? It was the beginning of the massive escalation in the war in Vietnam. In March of that year, there were 3,500 Marines. By November, there were 400,000 troops in Vietnam. There were anti-war demonstrations in Berkeley and Washington and all around the country and all around the world. There were civil rights demonstrations with Dr. King and Selma and Montgomery. Bloody Sunday happened in 1965. All that police violence we were watching on the news against the peaceful demonstrators with dogs and hoses. The Voting Rights Act of 1965 was passed. Malcolm X was assassinated. Fidel Castro was allowing Cubans to emigrate to Florida, so there was this huge influx of Cuban refugees in Florida. And with all of this, and so much upheaval in the world during that year, Burt Bacharach wrote a song. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. That's amazing. He writes in his lyrics, we don't need more mountains or hillsides or oceans or rivers. We don't need more meadows and cornfields and wheat fields. What the world needs now is love, sweet love, not just for some, but for everyone. It's an amazing song for that year. And do you think this is any less true 57 years later, after Mr. Smith goes to Washington, right, in 2022? Now, of course, all of the world's scriptures teach us about love and compassion. And these teachings have stood for thousands and thousands of years. But sometimes you wouldn't know it by the way people behave or the way nations behave towards each other. There was a young elementary school student. He was asked to say the golden rule, and he said, do one to the other as the other, no, wait, do one to the other as they do one to you. Right? Do one to the other as they do one to you. His version of the golden rule. So maybe the missing piece, I think, is summed up by the theologian Howard Thurman. Howard Thurman wrote, don't ask what the world needs, ask what makes you come alive, and then go do it. Right? Because what the world needs is people who have come alive. What the world needs is people who have come alive. So what makes you come alive? That's the question. What makes you come alive? Think about that for a minute. What makes you come alive? Because where that passion and the world's needs intersect, that's a great place to begin to offer sacred service. That's a great place to begin giving something back to the world, to making a difference and a change in the world. And I think this is where unity has, the unity movement has a real unique opportunity and can make a real contribution in our world. Because from its very beginnings, the founders of Unity, Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, recognized and were committed to helping people come alive in consciousness. They got this idea of consciousness, of individual consciousness. Fillmore said, man must understand himself in a degree before he can understand God, before he can understand the language of God. He must be taught by God what is truth, taught tolerance, universality, and spirituality. We are not spiritual in our manifestation until we put spiritual consciousness into manifestation. So Fillmore is not talking about religion. He's not talking about unity as a religion. He's talking about the direct experience of higher power, whatever that means to you, however you conceptualize it. The direct experience with God, not something that you only have to hear from preachers and priests and rabbis and imams and shamans and whatever, Not something that you just have to read in the Bible or other sacred scripture, but the awakening of divinity, the awakening of consciousness within ourselves. That's what they were talking about way back then in 1889. And as Charles and Myrtle Fillmore were laying the foundations of the Unity movement in 1889, they created their first publication called Modern Thought. And I want to read you how Fillmore described this magazine, what the purpose of this magazine was. He said, "It's not an organ of any school of thought, but the mouthpiece of all honest souls earnestly seeking for spiritual light. It recognizes that all friends of the movement are striving to attain the same noble end, the universal good, and that all the roads traveled through various and apparently divergent, though various and apparently divergent, in reality all lead to the same place. It is the desire of modern thought that all who feel the bubbling up within them of the spirit of universal love will use its columns to express their views. If God speaks through man, he speaks through all men and all women, and every thought that has for its ultimate object the amelioration and elevation of humanity will be welcomed here. It is not intended, however, that these columns shall be used to tear down, but always to build up. Hence no space shall be accorded to the iconoclast, nor the pessimist, nor he who seeks to cast a slur upon the work of his neighbor, but the ideas of all generous, loving souls will be thrice welcome." Fillmore went on to say, "We have no desire to unsettle the religious convictions of anyone, but we long to be instrumental in freeing the human mind from creeds." He said, "The influx of new thought is always necessary to life, and he who writes a creed puts a limit to revelation, is the enemy of humanity. Creeds have ever been the vampires that suck the blood of spiritual progress in the past, and life can only be kept in the present movement by latitude of thought, tempered always by the power that moves the world, love." It's an amazing statement. Love, says Charles Fillmore, is the power that moves the world. And the love that he's talking about, of course, is agape love, universal love, infinite love, unconditional love. The poet Hafiz said, "Even after all this time, the sun never says to the earth, 'You owe me.' Look what happens with a love like that. It lights the whole sky." So we often sing a song here at Unity, a Ricky Byers song, "Pour Yourself in Me." And you know the words, "Pour yourself in me, pour yourself into my heart, oh wonderful Spirit. Dance and smile in me, shine your light in me, sing your song in me, oh wonderful Spirit." So if we're here on earth to learn how to love, and to love unconditionally, how can we be open channels for wonderful Spirit, right? How can we be the vessels through which the spirit of unconditional love expresses in and through us? And that's a pretty tall order, isn't it? It's probably why we human beings are still struggling and stumbling and fighting each other and doing all sorts of horrible things to each other. Because loving may not be enough, actually, if we don't put love into action. If we don't put it into action. If we don't demonstrate unconditional love in our daily activities, in our daily lives, in ways that make a difference in the world. So Unity Minister Winfred Wilkeson Hausman, she was the minister in Cleveland for many, many years. She said the difficulties of the world will not be overcome by human will and force. They have been brought about by violations of the law of love, and they can only be remedied in a permanent way by the application of the law of love. This is not the job left to world leaders. It's a job for each man, woman, and child on the planet. It is only through the right use of the power of love, which God has given us, that we as individuals can overcome the wrongs created by violations of the law of love. So we know that the law of love is being violated, don't we? Just look around. Look at the news every night. We know the laws of love are being violated. in every country, including our own country. And maybe even we as individuals are violating the laws of love sometimes through our thoughts, through our words, through our actions, through our behavior. And so the question is, where does that leave us? Are we just to sit idly by and worry about the state of our country and the state of our world and what are we going to do about it? And I think the answer on the individual level, on the spiritual level, is that we each have within us the ability to use the power of law rightly. We each have the power within us to apply the power of love rightly. We can be kind, right? Doesn't everybody know how to be kind? We can be compassionate. Doesn't everybody know how to be compassionate, express compassion? We can love unconditionally. We can even agree to disagree with our adversaries with love. We can do that. We don't see it very often, but we can do it. So the larger question would be what we as individuals can do to create a better world, a safer world, a kinder world. That's a bigger question. And you know, last week was the birthday of Dr. Martin Luther King. And yesterday, don't know if many of you are aware of this, but the Zen Buddhist monk Thich Nhat Hanh died at the age of 95. These two great souls are wonderful examples of love and compassion in action. In 1965, the same year as the Selma and Montgomery demonstrations, the same year that the song "What the World Needs Now" was written by Burt Bacharach, that year, Dr. King said, "The time is always right to do right." He had recently won the Nobel Peace Prize. He won that in 1964. He was speaking at the Oberlin College commencement, and he said that let nobody give you the impression that the problem of racial injustice will work itself out. Let nobody give you the impression that only time will solve the problem. He was citing the 16th Street Baptist Church bombing in Birmingham in 1963 and the shooting of a civil rights worker earlier that year in Birmingham, Alabama, in Selma, Alabama. And King disparaged anyone who remained indifferent. And he said, human progress comes through the tireless efforts and the persistent work of dedicated individuals, and they realize that the time is always right to do right. Dr. King and Thich Nhat Hanh met in 1965, and each was influential in the other's life. And I want to show you a few minutes of an interview with Thich Nhat Hanh talking about his meeting with Dr. King. This is with Oprah Winfrey. So if we could just have the lights down a little bit.
Of them.
Yes.
How did you meet Martin Luther King?
In June the 1st, 65, I wrote him a letter explaining to him why the monks in Vietnam immolated themselves by fire. I said that it's not a suicide, because in a difficult situation like Vietnam, to make your voice heard is difficult. So sometimes we have to burn ourselves alive in order for our voice to be heard around. So that is out of compassion that you do that. There's the act of love and not of despair. And Jesus Christ died in the same spirit, out of love.
Being hung on the cross.
And exactly 1 year after, June the 1st, 66, I met him in Chicago. And we had that discussion about peace, freedom, and community. And we agreed that without a community, we cannot go very far.
How long was the discussion with him?
45 minutes or so. Mm-hmm. And after that, there was a press conference, and he came out very strongly against the war in Vietnam.
Do you think that that was a result of your conversation with him?
I believe so. And after that, we continue our work. And the last time I met him was in Geneva during a peace conference called Pacem in Terris.
There's an interesting story from that I heard, that you were running late. Can you tell me that story?
Martin Luther King invited me up for breakfast to talk over these issues again. And I was caught in a press conference downstairs. I came late. He kept the breakfast warm for me. And during the conversation, I was able to tell him that the people in Vietnam call him a bodhisattva, enlightened being, because of what he was doing for his people, his country, for the world.
And the fact that he was doing it non-violently.
Yes, that is the work of a bodhisattva, of a Buddha, of an enlightened person, always with compassion and non-violence. And when I heard of his assassination, I could not believe it. I thought that the American people have produced king, but are not capable of preserving him. I was a little bit angry at that time. I did not eat, I did not sleep. But my determination to continue the work, building the beloved community, continues always.
A great man, two great men, right? Two souls that touch and inspire and move us to love generously, and from that space to act with love and compassion in the world, to do the right thing, to love unconditionally. That's our charge. So, and that is our hope also. That is our hope. And that is our faith also, that we have the ability to do that, each of us. So I want to conclude with a quote from Thich Nhat Hanh. One compassionate word, action, and thought can reduce another person's suffering and bring him joy. One word can give comfort and confidence, destroy doubt, help someone avoid a mistake, reconcile a conflict, or open the door to liberation. One action can save a person's life or help him take advantage of a rare opportunity. One thought can do the same, because thoughts always lead to words and actions. With compassion in our heart, every thought, every word and deed can bring about a miracle. So that is our charge. So let's prepare for meditation. We'll have a song first. Thank you. Thanks.
So let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. Let there be love. I am a stand for love. Let there be joy. I am a stand for joy. We are making a new world now. So let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. Let there be love. I am a stand
So, in honor of Thich Nhat Hanh, I want to invite you to join me in a mindfulness meditation this morning. And the exercise is to close your eyes if they're not already closed, and sit easily and comfortably, and simply to identify your in-breath as the in-breath and your out-breath as the out-breath. In other words, pay attention to your breathing. When you breathe in, know that this is your in-breath. When you breathe out, know that this is your out-breath. And let's begin doing that now. Breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out, very easily without straining. An in-breath may take 3 or 4 or 5 seconds, it depends. You don't have to interfere with your breathing and just continue. And if your in-breath is short, allow it to be short. If your in-breath is long, allow it to be long. Don't try to force it. This practice is just simple recognition of your in-breath and your out-breath. Just to recognize your in-breath as your in-breath, your out-breath as your out-breath. Very simple, very easy. Just continuing to breathe in, continuing to breathe out. In order to recognize your in-breath as an in-breath, you have to bring your mind home to yourself. Because what is recognizing your in-breath is your mind. Your in-breath is the object of mind, the object of mindfulness. And mindfulness is always mindful of something. So be mindful of when you're breathing in, mindful of when you're breathing out. Just focus your attention on your breath. Breathing in and breathing out. You may be noticing that you have less thoughts, or you may be noticing that you're having lots of thoughts. Just bring your attention back to your breath. Being mindful of when you breathe in, being mindful of when you breathe out. And let's just continue this now in the silence, just breathing in, breathing out, and being mindful of the breath. And if you're aware of having thoughts, just become again mindful of your breathing in and your breathing out. And we'll do this now in the silence. As we continue breathing in and breathing out, you may notice that your mental activity begins to slow down, that you're not thinking about past or present or future. You're not thinking about the projects that you have to do, or because you're focusing attention on your breath. Mindful of the in-breath, mindful of the out-breath. So if you're feeling anxious during the day, or if you're wondering like the snail what the heck it's all about, come back to your breath. Breathing in and breathing out. Thich Nhat Hanh said that the breath, the in-breath, and the out-breath, being mindful of breath, can be a celebration of the fact that you are alive. So it can be very joyful. And when you're joyful and when you're happy, you don't feel that you have to make any effort at all. I'm alive, I'm breathing in. Being alive is a miracle. The greatest of all miracles, to be alive. And when you breathe in, you touch that miracle. And so breathing in and breathing out and being aware of the in-breath, being aware of the out-breath, is a celebration of life. A celebration of life. So let's begin now to bring our attention back to this space, to this room, as we conclude this meditation. When it feels comfortable to just wiggle your fingers or your toes, shift around in your chair a little bit, just open your eyes very gently when it feels comfortable.
Reverend Don, thank you. What a powerful message, mindfulness. We have our work cut out this week, don't we? Lots to think about. Being mindful, love as a verb, joyful. And this is a joyful time in the service when we have the opportunity to share with our tithes, our love offerings. But before we do that, is there anyone that's here for the first time today, either in the sanctuary or joining us online via YouTube, the internet? If so, we hope you found something meaningful in the service today. We hope you take away something that reaches your heart, helps you on your spiritual path. And we invite you to come and join us here on our campus for a class or for a Sunday service. So there are many ways to give. You can put your offering in the butterfly basket here in the sanctuary. You can give online, either on our website, through Tithely. You can text. In this church, it's okay to use your phone. There is an app to discover many, many things about Unity of Charlottesville, including giving your gift or your tithe. And I'd like you to hold your offering in your left hand. if you have one this morning, cover it with your right hand. And as we say the blessing, feel the positive energy that's flowing through you and out from you, because we know that as we give, we receive. And Unity of Charlottesville sees the prosperity in you and blesses that as much as you bless this church. So together, divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive.
Thank you, Bert Bacharach and Hal David. Thank you for the gift of this song. Feel free to stand up, move, whatever you, however the Spirit guides you. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. It's the only thing that there's just too little of. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. Yes, sing with me. No, not just for some, but for everyone. Lord, we don't need another mountain. There are mountains and hillsides enough to climb. There are oceans and rivers enough to cross, enough to last till the end of time. What the world needs now, come on, sing it, is love, sweet love. It's the only thing that there's just too little of. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. No, not just for some, but for everyone, everyone. Lord, we don't need another meadow. Oh no. There are cornfields and wheat fields enough to grow. There are sunbeams and moonbeams enough to shine, enough to grow. If you want to know what the world needs now, on your feet, come on, is love, sweet love. It's the only thing that there's just too little of. What the world needs now, oh yes, is love, sweet love for everyone. No, not just for some, oh, but just for everyone, everyone. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Janice, and Blair, and Jim. Thank you so much. Beautiful. So we do have some opportunities for transformation. The first thing I'd like to tell you about is the new class that I'll be doing starting Wednesday, February 2nd, the Energy of Abundance. And we'll be sort of continuing the conversation that Jackie Woodside began last week about the energy, the vibration of abundance. And this will be a 6-week class. We'll be meeting on Zoom only, and there'll be 2 classes, one from 10 to 12 in the afternoon, or from 7:15 to 9:15 in the evening. So we'll be really looking at some of the things that obstruct us and keep us out of the flow of abundance in all areas of life, because energy of abundance is not just about money, it's about vitality and about creativity and healing and health. It's about all these different areas of our life. And we keep coming back to it year after year because that's kind of really where the rubber meets the road in terms of our life. You know, how do we live a more abundant, full life? So I hope you join me. It's not a tithing. We're not requiring tithing, but it is a prosperity class. So there is an expectation of love offerings to Unity of Charlottesville, but it's not required in this class. So I hope you join. If you want to sign up for it, please just go to our website and you can register online. And there's I think a minimum of 10 people in each class in order to hold it. So please do that soon if you're thinking about doing it. Also, Saturday, February 5th, from 10 to 12 on Zoom only, Ginger Collier will be leading a discussion about God's gift to Gaia, guidance for awakening humans. So that'll be on Zoom only.
And we'd like you to sign up for text alerts. We will not abuse your texting, but this is a great way for us to communicate with you if we have weather conditions and we need to close the Sunday service, or for contract tracing should that become something that we would need to do. There's forms in the lobby, so please share that information with us. And on Wednesday evenings, we have a very powerful midweek faith lift time from 6:30 to 7. There's a solid group of folks that gather together to pray together, to share prayer requests from family members, friends, people all over the world. And we've seen powerful and wonderful results from that. So please join us. It's via Zoom. The link's on our website.
And we'll have our Taizé service next week. If you've not been to a Taizé service, it's a little bit different service than we do normally on a weekly basis. This is a service of meditation and song and silence. And we'll be doing it a little bit differently this year because of COVID. We won't be in a circle. We'll just be here so that people can really spread out. We can keep the windows open. We can have all the singers on stage here at a distance. So, but it'll still be quite lovely, and a lot of folks really appreciate that service once a year. Just a time to really go deep in with the music and the songs and the silence. So that's at 10:30 next week, in person and online.
And we have a pastoral care team. So if you or a family member or a friend is in need of help, please reach out to the church office. Let us know how we can help and support you in that way.
And there's virtual fellowship after the service. We're ending a little bit early today, so folks that are online will have an opportunity to meet and speak and be with each other and share with each other. Anything else for the good of the order? We're going to be early, so the children are not here. So let us bless our children wherever they are. And by the way, Mark Boston should be coming back next week. So parents, if you're watching online, we hope to have a more full youth program beginning next week again. And let's do our children's blessing together. Children, Uniteens, YOUers, teachers, and parents, you are loved, special, and important. Great. So we want to thank everybody who's helped out this morning. Thank you, Ann and Henry up in the sound booth, and Bob Butts and John Salidas are out there in cyberspace. And thank you to our wonderful music team, Blair and Jim and Kevin and Janice. And it was a beautiful song, Janice. Thank you. And John, and thank you, Peggy, for helping out. Thank you for our blessing team this morning, Ellen and Peggy, and thank you, everybody. So the Healing Helpers will be here in this corner right after the service. So if you'd like to join in prayer here, and Peggy is here if you have a personal one-on-one prayer, she'll be with you to pray together. So let's do our prayer for protection. Will you please stand? And together, the light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. And wherever God is, all is well. Let there be peace and unconditional love. It's always time to do right. God bless. Have a great day.